My 44 male wife 41 female was recently contacted by her ex-boyfriend cowriter 36 male and I've grown a bit nervous. Hello everyone, let me first start by saying that my wife and I are very open, maybe way too open about our past and past partners and all that. She is my second wife. My first wife was big on fidelity and we broke up over her cheating. The ex and I share a son. My wife also has a daughter of her own from a previous marriage. We've been married for 5 years and our little blended family works well together. As I mentioned earlier, we are perhaps too open about our past relationships. Her first husband was a serial cheater. He was a musician and slept around with women from his gigs. She stumbled onto his emails only to learn that he was involved with 5 other women, one of which he'd gotten pregnant. Not wanting their child to grow up in a broken home, she wanted to save the relationship, and reached out to one of her old internet friends for advice. We'll call him Chris. The two had been friends for 7 years up until that point but had never met. They were writing partners. In fact, before they lost contact they had been writing a novel together. She tells me that when she reached out for support he was very kind and had actually been recommending a lot ways to get past infidelity or what you should speak to attorney about. In general, being a good friend. Somewhere in that they decided to revisit writing their book again. According to her, they would casually flirt, but as they lived on opposite sides of the country they had no means to act. In all this she decided her marriage was dead and stopped trying to fix things, checked out I guess. She and Chris expressed mutual attraction and by the end of the year he flew out to meet her. She filed for divorce right after the affair got physical, and Chris moved later that year to be with her. To make a long story short, her daughter, who was only 5 at the time, didn't really take to him. As she says, he didn't do anything wrong, she just wasn't adjusting properly after the divorce and didn't like somebody replacing her father. My wife told him they needed to take a break due to this and due to the fact that he's a bit crass sometimes. She had only intended for it to be a short break, but he was apparently so hurt that he'd moved that far to be turned away 2 months in, and so he broke it off entirely. After months had gone by they reconnected to try and finish their book. They began sleeping together again during this time, but it was just a physical thing. They came close to finishing the book, but she started dating me, thus they stopped sleeping together. She felt weird about having an ex hanging around once she got in a committed relationship, and so by her own admission she stopped returning his emails, which were all book related, with the same frequency and stopped working on it on her end so much. He grew frustrated after a few months of this and blocked her on everything, which finally brings us to a month ago. After 4 or 5 years of no contact he messages her out of the blue. He contracted COVID and nearly died. Chris contacted her because apparently in that time apart he rewrote the book without her contributions, managed to get published, wrote and published a sequel, and released his work came really close to not be finished if he died. He wanted to make it known that if something should happen to him that he wanted the rights of this thing turned over to her as she knows how it will end, and helped create the story. Fair enough, that actually sounds nice, but then they get to talking. He's apparently writing a comic adaptation, and he invited her to come on board for it. He has a lot of the art done and she was very excited, showing me and explaining to me who all the characters were, their backstories, what she thinks he got wrong in the design. She also read the first book and is telling me which names he changed, what characters were and weren't in their version, the plot differences, and she seems to be having a lot of fun with it. I knew they wrote together, she's mentioned it before, but I had no idea they had this whole universe created. I can tell it was something that was really important to her. She seems like she might take him up on the offer, and this worries me. Every time they've worked on something in the past it leads to fun time. And there is a bit of fun time content in their writing. I'm not the jealous type, and I certainly don't want to step on a dream she had buried, but I don't want a repeat of history. I'll admit I decided to snoop their conversation, and while he seems like he's been on the level and is only really discussing the project, she's pressing for information on his personal life. I wouldn't say in a flirty way, but she asked him if he's seeing anyone now, and when he answered no, he's too busy, that relationships just get in the way, she told him he needs to get back out there. That celibacy isn't a good look on him. We're pretty open about our past fun time life, so I know her ex-husband was terrible at it, And once when drunk she said of Chris, don't let a great duck convince you it'll be a great relationship. How the hell do I proceed? I know she was emotionally broken by her ex-husband and that's why she cheated. But she did cheat with this man. I've met him, he seems like an on-the-level guy, but they have a history that tells me something might happen. I want to approach my wife with my concerns, but I don't want to seem like an overbearing, controlling person. I want her to have her creative outlet, because she glows in a way I've never seen before when she talks about this book I barely knew anything about. It feels like it's something that was deeply important to her that she efforts not to be important. I want that for her, but I don't want their interactions to escalate into something more like they have 3 times already. Update. My wife's ex-boyfriend re-emerged in her life asking to work on a mutual writing project that she abandoned years ago that he's achieving financial success with now. I don't know who this woman is. The level of deception is so involved and deliberate that I'm hardly capable of comprehending that I've spent the last 6 years of my life with this person. I decided to sit down with her and talk about how I felt about the situation, that I was happy she rediscovered her old writing and expressed that it would be cool for her to explore that as a hobby or a profession as she's quite good at it and clearly enjoys it. At the time she agreed, and said that Chris, her ex being around wouldn't be a good thing, saying she was worried that he might be using this as a ploy to talk with her again. When she said these things I was like, okay, cool. She has the same misgivings I do and she's not minimizing my feelings or calling me controlling. In fact, we're on the same page. Oh, how wrong I was. That conversation should have been the end of it, but for some reason my brain started getting weird and I began thinking it was going too well. Yesterday morning when she got in the shower I took her phone and went into it. His number was there and their entire conversation had been deleted. It hadn't been 3 days prior. Red flags. Checked Facebook Messenger, she's talking about her upcoming trip for work which takes her to Vegas. Well, apparently this 2-day-long thing has been cancelled due to COVID, but she's been telling me she's going. They are discussing a hotel a town over and staying there as well as sending each other people's vacation photos of Vegas so she'll have stuff to show if I ask. She's talking about restaurants they can go to, how there will be a full moon when he's here, and it would look great on the beach. Oh yeah, and he's not on the East Coast as he presented. He moved back to town recently since the prick actually has enough money to live here. He showed her on Google Maps where he's living and it's taking everything I have not to drive my truck straight into his living room. A month ago she claimed that she had to pick up her brother from the airport. Nope. That was him. The messages don't go back much further than that, but they reference talking about stuff during the years they supposedly haven't had contact. One line I read that he wrote has my heart racing with such ducking madnesses from him. Yeah, we're just friends. I don't see you in 8 years and I'm inside you 20 minutes off the plane. Best friends maybe. So she's not just planning to duck him, she's been doing it for months. That trip to her mother's a few weeks back where she stayed the night, yeah. I haven't confronted her yet, but her smile fills me with so much hate now. I'm going to try my best and hold back on saying anything until after Christmas. The kids don't need the holiday being a constant reminder of this, but honestly I'm probably gonna snap and confront her today or tomorrow because my ability to swallow this bullshit with a smile is almost impossible. Honestly, I'll be lucky if I can avoid taking a bath with the toaster. I'm losing my mind right now. Edit 1. I'm gathering info pics and screenshots of her location and speaking with a lawyer tomorrow. Edit 2. I've met with my brother's divorce attorney and we're making plans. I am documenting everything, all texts, her location, where she's claiming to go. I'm confronting her on the 2nd next month after she goes to the hotel with him. I'm making sure I have my ducks in a row and I'm trying not to ruin Christmas forever for the kids. Edit 3. The wave of suicidal thoughts have passed and I thank everyone who left kind messages for me. Really got me over the HMP. Update. I'd like to thank everyone who offered advice when I first posted this yesterday. It helped keep my mind away from darker places and it gave my hands something to do. I've been talking with my brother for support and have continued to monitor their communications. She noticed me acting different and I told her it was just me having the blues over the anniversary of my aunt's death, which was enough so she didn't start realizing I know all I know. I spent 3 hours today in my car outside of a McDonald's using their Wi-Fi to access her emails and they're using ducking Yahoo Messenger to communicate. She's on this with her TTS out in a ton of pics, all of which I'm saving. Real cute. There's one with her posed with flowers I got her for her birthday. They've been fun timiding since like March. Some select quotes from her. I can't just start talking about the book all the time. I talked about you twice when he and I got together. If I started talking about you and the book a lot now, he's gonna think something is up. You need to shave because that stubble is like knives. Almost had to put chapstick on my chin and under my nose. From him, you're getting it right before you leave here. I want him to kiss you after you spent the afternoon swallowing me. Honestly, my compulsion not to beat this man to death is strong. I won't do it, but the fact that he's so purposefully vicious is making me want to wear his teeth as a necklace.